Hey everyone, welcome to this unexpected romantic story. Ready to laugh your socks off? The woman nearby popped the bubble, and even though Annie felt a bit let down, she thought, alright, I'm not too deep into this yet. She quickly said goodbye to her friends and dashed toward her dream world of romance, but just as the elevator doors were about to close, that guy swooped in like Superman. While the concept of love at first sight is tricky to explain, his heart was already doing the torture for this lady. He clearly wanted to clear up the misunderstanding, emphasizing that the beautiful lady wasn't his girlfriend, just his tired old pickup line. This didn't win Anna's heart, rather it made her more convinced he was just a player. So no matter how much Jack begged, Annie didn't give him her contact, fearing romantic trouble at over 100. But Jack wasn't the giving up type. Instead, he kept charging toward Annie like a relentless knight. Just after New Year, Anna's birthday arrived, and she booked a restaurant as usual. Her daughter's blessings filled her with joy, but came with a pinch of helplessness since her daughter was ready to spread her wings. Just thinking about her daughter's departure made Annie worry, especially when her daughter mentioned moving to a nice retirement home. She wanted her daughter to express it casually, but every word felt like icy daggers piercing her heart. So Annie suggested, why don't I buy a house nearby, and we can live together? What a creative idea. But her daughter turned it down, not wanting to drag her mom into a heart-wrenching farewell. Back to her monotonous daily grind, Annie was at work when Jack showed up at the library with some books. If it were any other books, she might have ignored them, but these were the treasures she had always dreamed of. Seeing Jack willing to part with these beloved books, Annie let her guard down, and her tone softened. To win her heart, Jack decided to donate $50,000 worth of classic literature. Subtitle, he asked Annie to attend the donation ceremony as a representative. Annie balked at this. Seeing her steadfastness, Jack had to switch tactics and proposed a date deal. Maybe worried Jack would really give up, or perhaps she liked him just a smidge, and he finally caved and agreed to the date. But little did Annie expect that their first date would be in an old mine now that's original. Jack rambled on about cool stories, which had nothing to do with love, and bored Annie to tears. They arrived at an old ship, mostly buried in the wool, but still carrying the weight of time. The moment she touched the ship, Annie couldn't help but reflect, almost seeing her own shadow. This emotional whirlwind made her want to bolt, as if time itself were her enemy. When Jack heard Annie was planning to move, he was visibly upset and concocted an excuse to invite her over. He personally cooked dinner for Annie, and seeing her enjoy it, he was on cloud nine. That night, he introduced her to his family and revealed that his father was a famous astronomer who named a much-anticipated comet. But when it came to the comet's name, Jack chose the mysterious route. Gazing out the window, Jack suddenly recalled their first encounter when Annie was sitting by the library door. Back then, she wore a blue dress and held a book for the blind. Jack thought she couldn't see the world, yet her beauty was etched in his heart. His heartfelt confession left Annie no choice but to succumb, and the two ended up in a tight embrace. But as the alcohol wore off the next day, Annie thought this relationship was a bit too absurd. Walking through the familiar park, a memory flooded her mind, and tears brushed her cheeks involuntarily. She feared that if this continued, she would be dragged into an endless abyss of emotions. She locked the books imbued with Jack's feelings in a trunk, sealing her heart once again. So, during their third meeting, Annie decisively rejected Jack, coldly stating she was moving and that their relationship was a dead end. Jack didn't understand why Annie had become a stranger in just a few days, but could only respect her decision with a heavy. On the day Annie was leaving, her daughter came to help pack and noticed her mother's distress. After hearing her mom's troubles, her daughter comforted, if you're tired of the hustle, why not switch things up a bit? After all, years ago, it's all in the past. Living in pain every day is basically imprisoning your youth. She suggested Annie drop her worries and be open with Jack about her secrets. Maybe the daughter's words really resonated with her. Perhaps Annie realized she was in too deep, ultimately, she decided not to move and give Jack a chance. She invited Jack out, clarified that her earlier coldness was a misunderstanding, and asked if he would be up for a second chance. Under the starry sky, the two made a promise and started planning a future together, but fate had other plans to throw them a curveball. Jack's parents were celebrating their 40th anniversary, so Jack seized the opportunity to bring Annie home. To her surprise, Annie discovered that Jack's father, William, was the boyfriend she had cruelly ditched years ago. When she heard William say her name, tears streamed down her face as memories flooded back like a tide. Realizing she was now Jack's girlfriend, she could only fib that Adaline was her late mother.